Okay, it's system integration with Bob
Yes,
Kurpershoek. How am I doing on the pronunciation of the last name, Bob?
pretty good.
How would you say it?
Kurpershoek.
Okay, so I'm not close, but these are the things that we will work out over the next few months. And thanks so much for doing this. We've got a bunch of systems that we all need to be integrating. You specifically in media, maybe even have a few more. So I know today is ERP, but if you could lay out, what we're going to be talking about over the next few months, we'd really appreciate that up top.
Of course. Thanks, Ed. Yes, so today we're going to talk about ERP, which is more of the classic system that normally a company would have as a backbone of their operations. But in the next few sessions, we're also going to talk about OTT. This is the direct-to-consumer platforms that we are coming up really a lot these days in the media. Then also we're going to talk about process mining, blockchain, RPA, which is my favorite subject, of course, and then artificial intelligence that's really looking into the future. So these are the subjects that I will be talking about in the next few weeks.
Excellent. All right. Fantastic. First things first, ERP, right? It's
yes.
The same conversation we were having in the 90s or slightly different?
No, it is slightly different, right? So it seems a little bit old school, but everybody needs their ERP system, right? And I again want to point out that finance and IT is getting closer and closer. So your ERP system will be very important still in your business environment. So is ours in media, yeah? So we are currently on SAP, and SAP is making their changes as well. They're moving into the clouds. They're changing their let's say, their platform. It's called Suite on HANA. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe not. So first of all, they're changing the database, so it's becoming faster and better approachable, so you can have better analytics and, let's say, on-the-spot analytics. And you will have more and more possibilities in your ERP suite that you can use for running your business.
Okay, fantastic. That's the solution set that they're offering to you. What do you need to do to prepare and to, re-implement?
Yeah, so that is a very good question, Seth, and I think that is the core of every change that you're going to make in the system, right? But what is your case for change? So for some people, it's a complete finance transformation. For others, it's more like an IT play where you want to upgrade your system because you have way more data. For us in MBCU, it's actually both. Yeah, so we want to have an IT play because we're working on an older SAP instance, so we want to get to a newer SAP instance that is in the cloud. And secondly, we want to make more use of the possibilities that are available in SAP and that SAP will be offering to us.
What do you need to do with your data to, be ready?
Yeah, so first of all, what you need to do is where do you want to ask yourself, where do you want to compete in 10 years? Yeah, because there's so much data available in a large company like MBCU and similar for other big companies as well. So we really need to think about, okay, where do we want to compete? And start, reverse engineering more or less. So what we have been doing is we've been looking, okay, OTT, which I'm going to talk about next time, is going to be very important for us. So for our finance community, it's going to be very important that we understand what kind of data is driving the OTT platform. So what we're trying to do now is to determine exactly what kind of data is required for that and where it's spread out in the company, and reverse engineer, make sure that we have the data sets available for that as well. So that's our first spear point, actually.
All right. So recognizing kind of future data sets now, realizing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what about security? What about privacy when we're talking about cloud-based solutions?
So of course, there's still a big concern about this. However, the clouds are getting better and better security as well, right? So we as a company still make sure that we do our security performance on these cloud platforms, so that's happening all the time. And we have a constant monitoring system as well that is checking for us if there's no gaps there. Yeah. And SAP, of course, is aware of all these concerns of these companies, so they'll make sure, and also the cloud, let's say, hosts will also do this, like Amazon or Google. They will make sure that this is really good, well protected. I also want to say on privacy, in the Netherlands and especially in the European Union, you already have GDPR, right, which is very strict. So We'll make sure that we're compliant to that. We have compliance officers as well in the company for that. They will be checking everything. I know that the US is also working on this. I think California is the first state that will have a similar kind of legislation on that. So we got to make sure that we're compliant with that. We're being audited on it. If you're missing, if you're not compliant with this, a big fine will be raised upon you by the European Commission.
So there's all sorts of anticipation happening. The anticipated data sets, as far as your actual the lifeblood of the enterprise, and then the anticipated perhaps regulation as far as security and privacy.
Yep.
What are maybe what else is on the table as far as ERP system integration? As far as your desk is concerned.
So it's actually two things. So first of all, we want to have data faster and be able to have a forward-looking ERP data set, right? So in the old days, ERP was a bit slow. You were closing the books and they did the reverse look on what happened. Now we want to make sure that the analytics in the ERP systems are available on a day-to-day basis. So for that, you need a faster database. So SAP is delivering that with HANA. And secondly, you need to have analytics on that suite, actually. So these are very, very important components. Another component that's also very, very important is system rationalization in our company. So we, as a large company, we have a lot of subsystems. So with this new suite, we're actually looking, okay, what kind of systems are we able to decommission and put in the same platform? So you have more systems in one place. So it's easier to maintain. It becomes cheaper over time. You can update them more easily. So it's a combination of these two things are very important.
System rationalization, how do you actually employ that, right? Because I would imagine that is emotional at best.
Yeah, I think that's totally correct. So first of all, you start, of course, with your landscape, right? What kind of systems do you have, yeah? And what kind of processes do they help you with? If you see overlap, you're going to look deeper into those systems and see, okay, is there one system doing the same thing? Secondly, you're also looking at your, let's say, overarching ERP system, in our case, SAP, is it also offering a solution, yeah? Which is the better solution? Which is the more cost-effective solution, more or less? That is a big project itself, of course, right? But it's necessary if you want to compete in the future and have faster data. All these things are very, very important. So you need to start there. Create an overview. What's the overlap? Where can we rationalize?
And just be kind of Dutch in the way that you eliminate, right? Straightforward, to the point.
You have metadata, of course, right? Because like you say, it can be very emotional because one business is using this for years and years. Another business is using that for years and years. Might need to standardize as well and lose some of the functionality. So it's a very emotional game that they're playing. However, it is truly necessary.
All right. In the speed of data, you also mentioned analytics. How much can you share with us, what your solution is? Are you actually talking about predictive analytics, he says, while inching up on the edge of his seat?
So predictive analytics, of course. So I think most of our models are still being run outside of our system. Yeah, but I'm very keen on integrating this, eventually in our ERP system because I do think that over time this will become available in SAP as well. So I would be super excited, and this, of course, is our last topic of the whole series. But I see a large possibility for creating predictive analytics in the future, right? Where you can integrate external data sets, internal data sets, and use algorithms to or create several scenarios or make a prediction based on the data. But it starts again with your data. You got to have your data, your internal data, in order to do this in the first place. So we're still grabbing all these data sets together and creating one, let's say, the big data lake from that.
There we go. Perfect. We end where we start, which is, hey, we got to make sure that we know what data we're looking at. We got to make sure that we've got the right data set.
Completely. That's the number one game. I mean, and data is everything, right? Also for AI or for machine learning or for robotics, it is as good as your data is.
There we go. Perfect. Bob, thank you so much for this. system integration. We can already see how valuable this is going to be. Very much appreciate your time here and can't wait to see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you very much, Ed.